What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, The World of I, who is I, me, Leon. And today I noticed, especially after somebody brought it to my attention, that's been about a little over 2 weeks since I posted a video. And I kind of wanted to explain why, and the only word or only thing that comes to my head in terms of why I haven't really been making videos, at least this past 2 weeks or more, and probably why there will be some inconsistency on how I post videos, at least for the next month. And the word is grief, and that is also the topic of this video. Now, depending on how long you've been a YouTube friend of mine, or as they would say, subscriber of mine, is that my mother passed away about 3 months ago, which I did a video on. Now, as her oldest child, I'm kind of blessed to have been given responsibilities and things that I have to take care of in terms of, closing out affairs. And so I've been trying to focus a lot of my time and attention towards that so I can get those things done quickly and as efficiently as I can, so I can get back to doing things that I actually enjoy, such as making YouTube videos. So in this video, I wanted to be talking about grief, not just my own grief, but just grief in general, some things and conclusions that I've came to during this grieving process, and also maybe possibly give some advice, and maybe somebody somewhere can take something from this video, because we all go through this process, and I find that it might be a little bit more difficult to go through, especially if you're a young adult, a teenager, or a child, because you're already trying to develop your own sense of self and really understand where you fit in the world. And then to kind of lose somebody at a young age that's fairly close to you, it can be very difficult, and it can really take the ground out from under you. Now, as I mentioned before on my YouTube channel, which I did a video on entitled Message to a Young Caregiver, is that I was pretty much caregiving for my mom throughout her, what doctors call a transitioning period, which is kind of a way of saying, that process of when somebody is actually dying and, going to that next stage in life, if you will. And one thing that I noticed during that experience till after my mom had passed is that whole experience will be a very raw experience, especially if you're somebody that is going through the same experience have gone through the same experience. It's very raw in the sense that you get to see that person that's going through that experience in a very raw form, because all things that are truly important come to light. You really get to see that person for who they were and who they are from that moment, and throughout their entire lives. And this not only becomes a raw moment for them, it becomes a raw moment for you, which kind of opens you up to internalizing it. Like I said, you get to internalize who they are, but after they actually pass and you find yourself in that grieving process, because you have had, or in that moment having so many different emotions and emotions you never felt before pounding on your mind and your spirit and just your overall internal self, it also leaves you open and at risk to internalizing other things. So if you're a young adult or just anybody and you find yourself grieving, you want to try to keep yourself in positive environments during that grieving process, especially during the first 3 months of that grieving process, so you can internalize positive things. Because if you kind of surround yourself in a bad environment, then you can start to internalize those bad things out of your, out of the fact that you're grieving. So make sure you have a strong support system around you, friends, family, counseling, whatever it may be, and just try to keep it positive during those first 3 months, which is what I have been trying to do and what I have been doing, actually. Thing that I kind of noticed when it came to dealing with other people that were close with my mother, or you might experience this as well, is that I began to appreciate the relationships that she had personally a little bit more. And when I mean relationships that she had, is relationships, her friendships, her co-workers and things, people I didn't really have relationships with or really knew much of, or I knew of but I wasn't as close as I am to them now after this experience. In the beginning, after she actually passed, and I found myself in these environments with these people who were, close with my mom, is that for a second I kind of felt like, why am I even here? Because usually I would find myself around these people or around these environments with my mother. So it felt weird to be in these same environments with her friends or whoever it may be, that without having her there, it felt kind of just off. And I was like, this is not of my doing. Like this environment was created by my mom, or even if it was family members that were close with her but I really just didn't speak to because I was off away in college. And the reason that led me to appreciate these relationships more is that I can see my mother in these individuals. I can see why my mom was friends with them or why my mom was so close to them, and I appreciate that because it's like I still have a little bit of a piece of my mother like here on earth. So when I'm talking to like one of her closest friends, they might have characteristics or personality traits that my mother had. And so that's what helped me to appreciate these individuals and people even more. And not only that, these environments I realized also played a huge role in my growing up process since I was a kid, especially when it came to family members that were closer with my mom than they actually were with me. Is that I realized that these environments are kind of what helped mold me, and they'll probably play even a larger part in helping, molding me into who I will become. Another thing that I noticed is that you get an opportunity after somebody passes away. You get to see how their life continues to work even though they're not physically here on earth. And to me, that's kind of the definition of a kind of immortality. For example, there are a lot of friends or family members that my mom had that never met each other until the funeral. And after the funeral, they have built relationships. And when I see these relationships forming between these individuals, it helps me to see, it gives me a little peace of mind to see like my mom's life is still working. It's as if even though she's not physically here, she's somewhat playing a role in people making positive relationships, especially being that my mom was from a different country and she made friends here, and she also made friends that are from her origin country that live here, and now they're meeting people and cultures are being better understood. Conversations that never would have happened without my mother are finally happening. Another way that I see that my mom's life is still working is through these circumstances that, unintentionally that she, put me in. It's given me opportunities to grow wiser and stronger, and it's made me a better person. So it's almost like she's still being a parent without physically being here. She's still giving me life lessons without physically being here. Huge part of that whole wisdom that I gain is it's giving me a deeper sense of self and a deeper sense of self-reliance that I've gained through this grieving process or this experience. Now, one thing that I notice is that if you find yourself really grieving and it feels really sad, sometimes it blinds you to see how that person is still present without really physically being present. You know what I mean? Like, you can still find pieces of this person's spirit and who they were if you take a second to try to kind of get out of that darkness of grieving and really see these relationships forming. As I said, see the changes that's happening within you. And like I said, you can't really see these things if you're just always in a sad state of mind just because you lost somebody that's very important to you. Even though I know that's easier said than done, but I want to let you know that that is possible. Just a conclusion that I had, and my little last piece of advice in this video, if you find yourself grieving over somebody that you lost that was very close to you, is that yes, grief is a time to be sad, and it also will be a time where you become overly familiar with emotions that you've never felt before. However, grief also gives you an opportunity to reflect and also give a deep appreciation for life in and of itself, and not just life of that person that passed, or not just your own life, but everything that's living around you. So it definitely gives you more of a sense of gratitude, if you will. So there it is. This is I don't know what I'm gonna title this video, but I know I'm gonna put it in the playlist for a message to young caregivers. If you're out there, somebody that's kind of finding yourself in the same circumstances that I have found myself in within the past 6 or 7 months. So hopefully it can help at least just one person. And if you know somebody that's grieving, go ahead and share this video with them, like it, and also don't forget to subscribe.